What should you be playing in patch 10.11 of Teamfight Tactics? In this video, I'm going to be going over what you should be playing in the last patch for set 3. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We have a couple of nerfs in patch 10.11. I don't know if you guys saw my last video covering all that, but essentially pretty much every one of the major compositions from last patch got nerfed. So it opens up a couple more options, which we'll get into right now. Kayle's still the best comp. She's just very versatile and she's just still very, very strong. Her nerf only made it so that she needs one more auto attack to get her ultimate, which isn't that big. That's the reason why she's still on top. Vanguards have higher value because of the Last Whisper nerfs, and they're being played a little more in comps such as Sniper Vanguard and Kayle comps. Many of the top 10 players are going for Rebels, both Hyperroll and non-Hyperroll, and Shredder's still being used pretty often, and Mech is really only used by one tricks. And lastly, there's a soft rank reset on June 10th, so be sure to get the rank that you want sometime before that. So in S tier, we have Kayle Friends, A tier, Rebels, Void Brawler, Shredder. B tier is Mech Infiltrator, Blaster Brawler, Vanguard Sniper, and then we won't really go into C tier that much. And again, the way I do these tier lists is I look at the top 10 players in North America, Europe, and Korea, see what they play, analyze how often they play it and what they place with those compositions, and then I make the tier list from that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. At S tier, we have Kayle Friends. I went into how to play this last week, but in case you want a small update on this, you don't really want to be running 4 chrono. Even though they buffed 4 chrono a tiny bit this patch, people still seem to be favoring the 2 chrono build, which I mentioned some of the variants down here. What you can do is only really keep Shen and Wukong, because Wukong's really strong with Vanguards right now, so you could run like Shen, Wukong, Jace, take out Thresh and Ezreal, and add in maybe like an Aurelia instead of Xayah, and then add in a different Celestial instead. This way you don't have to run Xayah, you could run Aurelia instead because she's a much stronger unit than Xayah. You could use Aurelia as a secondary carry, but you'll still keep the 2 Celestial that you had before. So it makes the comp a little more flexible now that we don't really need the 4 chrono. Next up, we have the Hyperroll Rebels or Standard Rebels. Again, there are 2 ways to play this. The Hyperroll version is where you go for a 3-star Ziggs with double Seraph's Embrace, but you could also go like the more standard fast 8 route for Rebels where you rush level 8, you go for a Gangplank carry with items such as Guardian Angel and Rabadon's Death Cap, and then you just win through that. Both comps need a Jinx carry. Well, not need, but they work really well with the Jinx carry, so be sure to pick up Jinx items along the way, and then depending on what you're hitting early game, go for either Ziggs or Gangplank if you are going for Rebels. Again, it's really strong. This is probably one of the most played compositions after Kayle Friends for the top 10 players, so you definitely want to give this comp at least 1 or 2 tries. I do have a guide on it over here, which you could click there and check that out. Next up, we have Velkoz carry or Kha'Zix carry with Void Brawler. This composition is super, super strong as well. Some people are going the demo version. Some people who don't get spatulas just go the regular version, which is 4 Brawler, 3 Void, and you just go for the standard Velkoz carry. I didn't include too many items here because so many items work in this comp. Velkoz likes stuff such as Quicksilver Sash, Seraph's Embrace, Morellonomicon. Kha'Zix likes things such as Rapid Fire Cannon, Infinity Edge, Death Blade. Those types of items work really, really well. And then you want to add in a Fizz as a second Infiltrator because that means Kha'Zix gets attack speed resets every time he gets a kill, which is really strong because he's going to be getting a ton of kills in this build. Next up, we have the Shredder Xayah Hyperroll. Xayah's mana got nerfed quite a bit. I believe it went from 50 mana to 70 mana. But this comp's still very strong if you hit it decently early, and it's going to be less contested now after the nerf. So if you go for it, it's still going to have pretty good power level. You still want the same items on her. You want some sort of attack damage items and then 1 defensive item if you're putting her up front, such as Quicksilver Sash. The rest of the team is pretty much the same as before. You want to hyperroll for Fiora, Jarvan, Xayah, Caitlyn. You don't have to hit these 3, but you really do need to hit Xayah because she is the main star of the show. After that, you want to go for adding in Shen at level 5 so that you get Blade Master, Chrono, and then Jarvan for the attack speed. After that, you'll want to add in Celestials as you level up, and if you can get to level 9, you could add in any Legendary to complement your team. Next up, we have the B tier. Mech Infiltrator got hit pretty hard this patch. There was an Infiltrator change that makes it so that they jump earlier, which means they have a higher chance to be targeted now. Not good for the comp, but it's still playable. There's still some Mech 1-tricks out there who are playing this composition. Some of the other 1-tricks kind of gave up on this, but it's still a decent comp if no one's going for it and if you get the right items, such as like a Bramble Vest really early and a Demo Spat. Moving on to the next guide, we have Blaster Brawler. Blaster Brawler Very popular in Korea, not so much in Europe and North America. Korea has a little bit of a more aggressive meta, so comps like Blaster Brawler shine a little more. There are also many variants of this build. I've seen 4 Blaster, 2 Brawler, 4 Brawler, 2 Blaster, with some Rebels mixed in instead. All these compositions work, it just depends on what you hit and what items that you have. Next up, we have Vanguard Sniper in the B tier. Again, with the last Whisper changes, Vanguard's got a lot stronger, so naturally people are just using them more often. Jin's still a pretty good unit, because if you hit him for free, he's still decently strong, and you could also use him in Dark Stars if you get a Xayah randomly at level 8. Xayah is such a good unit, but again, Dark Stars, not really played so much because they're hard to hit. You'll lose too much life before getting the composition. But let's say you get the composition for free. You play Jin, you add in Xayah 2-star with Quicksilver Sash, Rageblade. You're going to be winning games. You could play him in Vanguard Sniper as the 3rd Dark Star here after you level up to level 9. Or you could play him in the Dark Star build, as we know from before. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. C tier, we have Candyland. This composition got so weak because they kept getting nerfed over and over, and they really just get outshined by the other Hyperroll comps, so there's not really too much reason to go for this unless you get like maybe 6 poppies early game. Next up, Dark Star Snipers. Again, I talked about this before. If you hit Xayah, you can win a lot of those games because he's super strong with the right items and with the right team setup, and if you get him for free, you might as well go ahead and play him. The last C tier comp I'll go over is the Star Guardian composition. This has seen a little more play recently because Syndra got buffed, and since every other comp got nerfed, I could see this becoming much more popular in the next week, but right now it's not really being played. I really only saw it being played once, which isn't much at all considering I look at around 200 to 300 games when making this meta snapshot. So that's it for the compositions. You don't really want to be playing anything else. For item priority on the Carousel, I still like Sword a lot. Chain Vest is really good. Gloves the most flexible. Maybe Gloves should be the first choice because if you are a flexible player, Gloves is the best one for that. But I'm not as flexible as I should be or could be, so that's why I like the Sword or the Chain Vest start a little more. Tier's good if you're going for Ziggs, and then the rest are pretty good. Bow or Rod, very good for Kayle. You really just don't want Negatron or Belt because you need at least 1 or 2 offensive items. It's not that the items that these 2 build are bad, it's just that you need one of the other offensive items in order to do well in a game. Lilac, Carousel priority hasn't changed. Kayle's the best, Jinx, Aurelia, Jin. These 4 are always going to be the best. Everything else being much weaker. You could go for Fizz if you're forcing Mech Infiltrator. I do that sometimes too, but you really want to make sure that he has at least a decent item on him. If not, it is a bit of a struggle. Next up on the item tier list, not too much has changed. Bramble Vest is still the strongest. GA is very good. You pretty much want to be building items in the top right because top right means that they are both strong and versatile, meaning that they are both good and fit in many compositions. You want to avoid the bottom left. These items work in very few situations, or they're just flat out weak, such as like Disarm or Ludens. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this meta snapshot. I'll be updating this next Friday. I do have something special for you guys, which I'll be releasing on Sunday, but I'll leave that as a surprise for now. If you are new to the channel, I release around 3 videos a week, every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, so you definitely want to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You guys have been on YouTube before, you know what to do already, but if you want to get notified on that, you definitely want to be doing that. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know what compositions you're going to be playing in the comments below, and make sure to hit the like button as well. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and of course smash that like button. Each like is an LP I gain before the next video.